She sold my ranch for her honeymoon until the sheriff knocked at her door. My daughter called from the airport, "Mom, I sold everything." She never saw me again. They thought I was broke and dying. I let them celebrate until the judge read my name. I was sitting alone in the chemo ward at St. Luke's, the smell of bleach burning my nose when my phone lit up. My only child. I answered expecting tears, maybe an "I love you, Mom." Instead, I got ice. "Hey, Mom, quick heads up. We're flying to Maui tomorrow for the vow renewal. Tyler's channel exploded. We needed cash fast, so we sold the ranch and your Mustang. Already wired you $48,000. That should keep you comfortable till, well, you know. Gotta run. Plane's boarding. Love you. Bye." She hung up before I could breathe. 47 years of wiping her tears, working double shifts, burying her father 8 months ago, and that was my goodbye? The nurse touched my shoulder. "Mrs. Harper, they're ready for your infusion." I looked up at her and smiled for the first time in months. Because what Lauren didn't know could destroy her. My name is Margaret Elaine Harper, 74 years old, supposedly dying of pancreatic cancer. Supposedly penniless after my husband's accident. But James always said blood doesn't get to see the safe until they've earned it. If you've ever had your own child count you dead while you were still breathing, smash that subscribe button right now, because the day my daughter cashed that ranch check was the day she signed away everything she loved, and I didn't lift a finger to stop it. 8 months earlier, James had been hauling a load of cattle from Billings to Denver when the brakes on his old Kenworth gave out on an icy downgrade. State troopers said he never had a chance. 1 minute he was on the CB joking with another driver about retirement. The next, the rig jackknifed across I-25 and took 3 other vehicles with him. Lauren flew in from Seattle the same day. She walked into the house wearing sunglasses indoors, hugged me once, then asked where the will was before the coffee finished brewing. I thought grief looked different on her, that was all. The funeral was small, just ranch hands, a few neighbors, and the minister from town. Lauren stood beside me in a black dress that cost more than most of these men made in a month. She kept checking her phone. "Tyler stayed back in Washington, handling sponsors," she said. After we scattered James's ashes over the south pasture like he wanted, Lauren started coming by more often. She brought grocery bags I never asked for, sat at the kitchen table, and talked about how hard everything must be for me now. "Mom, you can't keep 300 acres by yourself. The taxes alone." I nodded, let her talk. She offered to help sort paperwork. I let her. 3 weeks later, she found the perfect buyer for the ranch, some developer from California who wanted to turn it into a luxury dude ranch. She handled everything, the listing, the open house, even talked the county into fast-tracking permits. The red 1967 Mustang James restored the year Lauren was born? Gone the same week to a collector in Texas. She texted me the deposit slips like she was doing me a favor. I never argued. I just signed where her pen pointed and told her thank you. What Lauren never found, because she was always in too much of a hurry, was the fireproof lockbox bolted inside the spare tire well of James's pickup. He showed it to me the night before his last run. Inside was a single USB drive and a folded note in his handwriting. "Peggy, if you're reading this alone, play it once, then call Harlan Reed in Helena. Tell him the Eagle has landed. He'll know what to do. Love you bigger than Montana sky." That USB stayed in my dresser drawer through the funeral, through Lauren's helpful visits, through the sold signs going up on the gate. I didn't touch it until the morning after her phone call from the airport. When I finally plugged it into my old laptop, the screen filled with spreadsheets, deeds, and brokerage accounts I'd never seen before. James hadn't just driven trucks. He'd quietly bought into the freight company he worked for 30 years ago. Then another, then a fleet of trailers, warehouses outside Salt Lake, a terminal in Omaha. The ranch wasn't even in our personal names anymore. It belonged to Harper Freight Holdings, and I was the sole owner on paper since the day he updated the trust. Total value? North of $28 million, give or take market swings. I closed the laptop, poured myself a finger of James's bourbon, and looked out at the snow starting to fall on land my daughter no longer owned. Then I picked up the phone and dialed Harlan Reed. Harlan Reed answered on the second ring, voice like gravel in black coffee. Harper Residence, who's this? It's Margaret. The Eagle has landed. There was a long pause, then a low chuckle. James said you'd call one day. Sit tight. I'm driving down from Helena tonight. He pulled into the yard just after midnight in a black Suburban with government plates he never explained. We sat at the kitchen table under the same lamp James used to read load manifests. Harlan slid a leather folder across the scarred oak. Inside where the folder were originals of everything on that USB, plus a few extras James never got around to telling me about. Mineral rights under the North Section, a silent partnership in a rail spur outside Billings, and a voting block that controlled 42% of Harper Freight's board. James structured it so Lauren couldn't touch a dime without your signature, Harlan said. The ranch sale? Already flagged as fraudulent because the trust owns it, not you personally. Buyer's lawyer is panicking, wants to unwind the deal yesterday. I nodded, sipping tea gone cold. What about the Mustang? Title never transferred clean. Collector in Texas still has it on a trailer in his barn. One phone call and it's back here by Friday. Harlan leaned forward. Here's the thing, Margaret. James left instructions. If Lauren ever tried to pull something like this, we don't just stop the sale. We freeze everything she thinks she sold and let the consequences roll downhill. Quiet, legal, permanent. I looked out the window at the dark pastures. Do it. The next 6 weeks played out like a slow-motion train wreck I watched from the porch. Lauren and Tyler posted daily from Maui. Drone shots over turquoise water, her in a white lace gown, him shirtless holding a champagne bottle with my ranch money. Caption, living our best life. #blessed. #vow renewal. #new chapter. Comments poured in. Fire emojis, heart eyes, strangers calling them goals. Meanwhile, back in Montana, the California buyer sued Lauren for fraud when the title company refused to insure the deed. The collector in Texas filed a stop sale order on the Mustang once he learned the lien holder was Harper Freight Holdings. Lauren's bank account, the one she wired me $48,000 from, started bouncing checks. She called me from a hotel Wi-Fi, voice cracking for the first time. Mom, something's wrong with the paperwork. Lawyers keep leaving voicemails about rescission. Tyler says it's a glitch, but we're almost out of money, and the resort wants the final payment tomorrow. I let her talk until she ran out of breath. That sounds stressful, honey. Silence on her end. Then, can you loan us $50,000 until this clears up? I'm afraid I'm a little short right now. She hung up on me that time. 2 days later, the resort evicted them for non-payment. Tyler live-streamed the whole thing, raging at the manager, Lauren crying in the background. The clip went viral for all the wrong reasons. Sponsors dropped him overnight. They flew home coach, arrived in Bozeman looking like different people. Lauren showed up at my door unannounced. Hair dyed blonde, roots grown out, Tyler hiding behind sunglasses even though it was snowing. She hugged me like nothing happened. Mom, we're home. Can we crash here until the lawyers sort the ranch mess? I stepped aside and let them in. The house still smelled like James's coffee. And for the first time since the funeral, I wasn't pretending to be broken. Lauren lasted exactly 4 days, acting like the prodigal daughter returned. She cooked spaghetti the first night, burned the sauce, laughed it off like old times. Tyler spent hours on the couch scrolling sponsor emails that never came. Olivia, their 24-year-old, stayed in Seattle, finishing her nursing semester. Lauren said she'd fly her out once things settled. On the 5th morning, I found them in James's office with listing printouts spread across the desk. Tyler was circling condos in Bozeman, talking about flipping the ranch money once the lawsuit cools. Lauren looked up when I walked in, smile tight. "Mom, we're thinking of buying something smaller for you downtown, easier to manage. You shouldn't be rattling around this big house alone." I poured coffee and said nothing. That afternoon, Harlan called. The buyer rescinded. Full refund wired back to Lauren's account this morning, minus penalties. Title's clean again, 100% yours. I thanked him and hung up. 2 hours later, the screaming started downstairs. Lauren discovered the 7-figure refund had vanished into a holding escrow she couldn't touch. Tyler smashed a lamp. I stayed upstairs, knitting, volume on the TV low enough to hear every word. By evening, they were on the porch smoking, something Lauren hadn't done since college. She came inside alone, eyes red. "Mom, the bank froze everything." "They're saying fraud, breach of trust. I don't even understand the letters. Tyler thinks someone reported us." I folded my knitting. "That's terrible, honey." She waited for more. When nothing came, her face hardened. "You're not even surprised." Life's full of surprises. The next week, the letters turned into court filings. Harper Freight Holdings, plaintiff, versus Lauren Harper Mitchell and Tyler Mitchell, defendants, for fraudulent conveyance, undue influence, and breach of fiduciary duty. Lauren waved the papers at me across the kitchen table. "This company is suing us, Mom. They own the ranch now, apparently. Always did. How is that possible?" I buttered toast. "Sounds like you should get a lawyer." "We can't afford one. Everything's frozen." I took a bite. Maybe sell that new camera gear Tyler bought in Maui. Tyler tried calling the freight company directly, got Harlan's assistant, who told him all inquiries went through counsel. He slammed doors for 2 days, then started packing. Lauren caught him loading suitcases into their SUV at 3 in the morning. The fight woke the horses. She came back inside with a split lip and no husband. He left a note on the counter. "This place is poison. I'm out." His channel went dark the same day. Lauren sat at the table until dawn, staring at the note like it might change its mind. When the sun came up, she looked 10 years older. "Mom, I think I made a mistake." I poured her coffee, black, no sugar, the way she used to hate. Mistakes have consequences, Lauren. The court date landed on a Tuesday in March, the kind of cold that bites through Carhartt. Lauren showed up to the Gallatin County Courthouse wearing the same black dress from James's funeral, now hanging loose on her frame. She had a public defender who looked 25 and terrified. I walked in 10 minutes late, Harlan at my side in a navy suit that cost more than Lauren's wedding ring. The bailiff called the case Harper Freight Holdings v. Lauren Harper Mitchell. Lauren's head snapped around when she heard the plaintiff announced. She went white under the fluorescent lights. Harlan laid it out like stacking hay bales, forged power of attorney documents, emails where Lauren promised the buyer clear title, no encumbrances, bank records showing the money routed straight to Tyler's production company in Washington. The judge, a woman who'd grown up on a ranch outside Three Forks, didn't blink. When it was Lauren's turn, the public defender tried the grief card. Recent widow mother, confused elderly parent, undue influence from an estranged husband. Harlan slid across a single photograph. Lauren and Tyler toasting with champagne on a Maui catamaran, time-stamped 3 days after the ranch closing. The judge's eyebrows went up. I took the stand only once. The prosecutor asked if I'd ever authorized the sale. No, sir. My husband's trust was explicit. He asked if Lauren had ever discussed selling with me. She told me after the papers were signed. He asked how I felt watching my family home sold out from under me. I looked straight at Lauren. Betrayed doesn't cover it. The judgment came down before lunch. Full rescission, treble damages for fraud, and a permanent injunction against Lauren ever acting on my behalf again. Total, $2.8 million, payable immediately or through wage garnishment and asset seizure. Lauren stood frozen as the gavel fell. She tried to approach me in the hallway afterward. Harlan stepped between us. Mrs. Harper has nothing further to say. She grabbed my sleeve anyway. Mom, please. I pulled free without looking back. That night, I changed the locks on the ranch gates and filed a no-contact order. The sheriff served it to her the next morning at the Motel 6 off I-90, where she'd been staying since Tyler vanished. 3 weeks after the judgment, the marshal showed up at Lauren's motel room with a writ of execution. They took her SUV first, still registered in Tyler's name, but the loan was joint. Then the storage unit in Bozeman, where she'd stashed the wedding gifts and camera gear. Everything went to auction. Lauren filed Chapter 7 the next day. The bankruptcy trustee called me personally. Mrs. Harper, your claim is non-dischargeable fraud. She'll be paying this for the rest of her life. I thanked him and hung up. The real hammer fell in April. Olivia, my granddaughter, turned 25 and gained access to the small trust James set up for her when she graduated high school. Lauren had been using that account as collateral for Tyler's credit cards without Olivia knowing. When the bank froze it, Olivia lost her nursing school tuition deposit and the apartment lease she just signed in Seattle. She drove through the night to confront her mother at the motel. I heard about the fight from the night clerk, screaming that Lauren had stolen her future the same way she'd stolen mine. Lauren crying that it was all Tyler's fault. Olivia left at dawn with one duffel and hasn't spoken to her mother since. 2 days later, Olivia knocked on my door, eyes swollen but steady. Grandma, can I stay here until I figure things out? I opened the door wider. This is your home, too. We gave her James's old room. She started working nights at the hospital in Bozeman, saving every penny, and enrolled in summer classes to finish her degree. Lauren tried calling her a dozen times. Olivia blocked the number. The final piece came from Harlan in May. Tyler had surfaced in Vegas, running up more debt under a fake name. Federal marshals picked him up on interstate fraud charges tied to the production company. He took a plea, 36 months, no parole. Lauren got the certified letter in whatever weekly rate studio she was renting by then. She showed up at the ranch gate one last time in June, thinner, hair cut short, wearing thrift store jeans. The new code wouldn't let her in. She stood there holding an envelope until I walked down the driveway. Inside was a single photograph, her on the Maui beach in that white dress, smiling like the world couldn't touch her. On the back she'd written, "I'm sorry." I looked at her through the bars. Sorry doesn't unfreeze a lifetime of garnishment, Lauren. It doesn't give Olivia back her trust. It doesn't bring your father home to see what his daughter became. She started crying. I turned and walked back to the house. The gate stayed locked. Summer rolled in hot and dry, the kind that makes the grass crunch under boots. Olivia threw herself into work and school, coming home only to sleep and study. She never mentioned her mother. I didn't ask. Lauren's bankruptcy hearing was in July. The trustee sold everything left of her belongings at public auction on the courthouse steps. Designer bags, the ring Tyler gave her for the vow renewal, even the wedding album. A stranger bought the album for $12. By August, the garnishment orders hit every job Lauren tried. Waitressing at the truck stop outside Belgrade, cleaning rooms at the Holiday Inn, stocking shelves at Walmart at 4 a.m. 25% of every check went straight to me. She lasted 2 weeks at each place before quitting or getting fired for crying in the walk-in. Olivia graduated nursing school in September, top of her class. We drove to the ceremony in Bozeman. Lauren wasn't invited. Afterward, Olivia pinned on her RN badge and looked at me with James's eyes. "Grandma, I'm moving to Denver Children's Hospital. Better pay, fresh start." I hugged her on the stage while cameras flashed. She whispered, "Thank you for never making me choose." Lauren heard about the graduation because the local paper ran a photo. She drove to the ranch drunk at 2 a.m, screaming Olivia's name through the intercom until the sheriff came. Body cam footage ended up on the news. The judge added a year of probation and mandatory AA. Tyler got sentenced in October, 5 years federal for wire fraud across state lines. Lauren watched the live stream from a library computer, then walked out into traffic on Main Street. A semi swerved and clipped her. Broken pelvis, collapsed lung. 6 weeks in the hospital wouldn't release her because no one claimed responsibility. I paid the bill anonymously through Harlan, then sent flowers with no card. She knew who they were from. When she finally got out on crutches, the only place that would rent to her was a run-down trailer outside Townsend with no heat. Welfare denied her because of the fraud judgment. Food stamps barely covered ramen. Winter came early that year. November wind howled across the ranch the day Lauren's probation officer called me. She'd missed 3 check-ins and a court-ordered job program. A bench warrant went out before Thanksgiving. They found her 2 days later in that unheated trailer, hypothermic, a half-empty bottle of James's old bourbon on the table beside her. The ambulance took her to Bozeman Deaconess. Doctor said another hour and she wouldn't have made it. Olivia was on shift in the ER when they wheeled her in. She recognized the name on the chart, froze for a second, then did her job anyway. Started the IV, wrapped the blankets, called the social worker. She never went into the bay after that. Lauren spent 9 days in the psych ward on a 72-hour hold that got extended. When they discharged her, the only clothes she had were paper scrubs and hospital socks. The trailer had been condemned for black mold. Everything she owned fit into one trash bag. She called the ranch from a payphone outside the bus station on a Tuesday in December. I let it ring 6 times before I picked up. "Mom," she whispered, voice raw, "I have nowhere else." I watched snow pile against the kitchen window. "You made your choices, Lauren. Live with them." I hung up. The warrant stayed active. She got picked up in January for vagrancy in Butte, spent 30 days in county for the probation violation. When she got out, Montana winter had her. Shelters were full. She slept in the warmed bathroom of a 24-hour laundromat until the owner ran her off. Olivia moved to Denver in February, started her new job at Children's. She sends me pictures sometimes, her in scrubs holding a premature baby, smiling the way James used to when the calving season went perfect. She never asks about her mother. I never tell. Last I heard, Lauren was working off books at a ranch outside Dillon, mucking stalls for cash and a cot in the tack room. The owner doesn't know her history. She uses a different last name now. I still drive James's red Mustang when the roads are clear. The ranch runs smooth, new foreman, bigger herd, profits rolling into the same accounts James built. Some Sundays I sit on the porch with a cup of coffee and watch the sun come up over land no one can ever take from me again. Blood doesn't buy forgiveness, it only buys lessons. And mine learned hers the hardest way possible.